Rappler.com, a news organization in the Philippines, is a social news network that aims to promote social change. Its CEO and executive editor says Facebook let the Philippines government target her and the site that she founded because of its coverage. But she says she still works with Facebook. She also warns that her story should serve as a cautionary tale for the United States. And Maria Ressa joins us now to discuss all this. I mean, Maria, that's a pretty incredible allegation. You're saying that Facebook's involvement, you wrote, destroyed your reputation and your peace of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Just for doing our jobs. So first, Facebook, the Philippines is Facebook country. 97% of Filipinos on the internet are on Facebook. And when we came out with the propaganda series in early October of 2016, I was pummeled into silence, although I still talk now, right? Yeah. But 90 hate messages per hour. You know, at the beginning, for about 2 weeks, I was trying to respond, and then I realized they're not looking for an answer. They want to pound me into silence. And that was when I realized this is something new. It's a new weapon against journalists. We need to find a new way of dealing with the psychological warfare.
Well, some people say, okay, it's a disinformation campaign. Why should you cover it? Why is it such a big deal when you're talking about politics on the ground, right?
Because it is methodical, it's systematic, it is meant to pound the fracture lines of society and rip them open. And given the algorithms of the social media platforms, you're creating, say in the United States, right, if you're on the right, you wind up moving further right because you're only talking to people like yourself. So we're splitting here. And then if you're on your left, you wind up, you can't even see the right perspective. You're moving further left. It splinters democracy. It gets rid of that common space. So it's incredibly important for us to look at it because Facebook, the social media platforms, are now the world's largest distributor of news, of facts, and yet they haven't accepted the gatekeeping roles that journalists used to have, and that's a problem because lies now spread faster than truth.
Lies spread faster than truth. That's so interesting to hear you say that, put it in that perspective. But when you talk about disinformation in the United States and you compare it to in the Philippines, is there one country that's worse?
I think you're seeing similar tactics, and you can see, I keep track of the Mueller investigation and what's happening when the Senate Intelligence Committee released all of the data from the platforms, and we actually found links from the Philippines to the IRA based on the data that was there. This is a global system, and I think this is the biggest shift, right? What changed democracy globally? Like beginning of November 2017, these academic reports started coming out that said cheap armies on social media are rolling back democracies all around the world. This technology has shifted it. We have no idea. Part of the reason trust has been so shattered is not because of what journalists are doing. It's because lies are masquerading as truth and people can't tell the difference. It is a breakdown of trust, and that is methodically done.
Is there a way to counter this, Maria?
Look, in the long term, it's education. In the medium term, it's media literacy. But in the short term, it is only the social media platforms that can act right now. I mean, part of it is it appeals to the worst of human nature. It's like taking all of our hate and our fear, fanning the anger, fanning our fears, and creating an us against them. This is what terrorists do and that's how you build ideology. That's how terrorists build this extremist thing. So what we're seeing is the world is getting pushed and pulled apart, and yet people don't know they're being manipulated. I think more and more here in the United States, you look at them as partisan politics, but where is that undercurrent of information warfare? That's where it begins. In the end, we always say information is about power, right? Well, what happens when information is tainted and toxic sludge, poison is introduced into the body of democracy?
We talk a lot about Russian disinformation campaigns here in the U.S., looking into election meddling as well. How does it compare in the Philippines?
I think I always say we're the canary in the coal mine. You know, we've been dealing with this since July of 2016 with a drug war that's killed. The police claim 5,000 people. Human rights groups will say tens of thousands of people since July of 2016. And you put that together with this kind of information warfare that is splintering society and changing perspectives, changing values. Very similar. What we're seeing, the tactics that were released during the reports of the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee, they're the same tactics that are being used in the Philippines. We're just a little further along. Think about it like this. Duterte was elected in May of 2016. Brexit happened a month later. After that, the U.S. elections. After that, Catalonia, and so on. Right? The world has changed fundamentally.
Why do you think it is, Maria, that they're targeting the Philippines?
We're English-speaking. We're 100 million people. We're Facebook country. As of yesterday, two days ago, social media, We Are Social came out with a report that said not only do Filipinos spend the most time online, we spend the most time on social media. So we're a little petri dish. It's the reason I set up Rappler in the Philippines. It's like a petri dish for social media interaction. It can be used for good. Mind you, we know this in the Philippines. That's why Rappler grew so fast. But by the end of 2015, with instant articles, it's been used for evil, and it needs to get fixed.
I want to ask you while I have you, because you live in Manila, what is the sense of President Duterte there, and does he still have great public support?
Unlike President Trump here, President Duterte has popularity ratings in the 80%, 83%.
That's incredibly high.
It's incredibly high, but again, think, we are a social media country. Our information landscape flows on Facebook. Part of the reason Facebook is critical to both power, attention, and information, right? I think what we're seeing in the last few months is Facebook doing takedowns of these malevolent networks. In the last 24 hours, they took down an Iranian network and they took down a network in Indonesia. As elections roll out in other parts of the world, I think they're very aware of the power they now have, and I'm hopeful that they will take more action.
Maria Ressa, very grateful you could join us on this important topic.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And we should mention we reached out to Facebook for comment on Maria Ressa's reporting on the disinformation on the platform. We have not received a response.